Mohawk Indians still refuse to leave a federal office in Brantford. And in this Indian summer of discontent, illegal roadblocks are commonplace signs that dissident natives are growing more militant.
I'm not very hopeful for the future.
This specialist in Aboriginal law says natives are frustrated by lack of progress on issues like poverty, land claims, and self-government.
Well, certainly the government is delivering on its promises that they are negotiating, but the Aboriginal groups are of the view that negotiations are not proceeding quickly enough or appropriately enough.
Though widely condemned, the resort to violence highlights growing divisions in the native movement. Some leaders fear a few extremists will provoke a backlash against all.
In any way interfering with the plan to carry on.
Members of the Naxos Nation and environmentalists blocked a logging crew from working on King Island west of Bella Coola. As part of the protest, natives burned copies of a court injunction ordering them not to impede loggers' access. The injunction had been obtained by the Interfor Logging Company.
You're on unceded territory, sovereign territory.
We ceded the bottom side of the road there about 10 years ago.
You weren't here 50 years ago. We are unceding Interfor.
Because no one is interested in seeing the use of force occur in British Columbia. But let there be no doubt in anyone's mind, force shall be used.
Thank you very much for talking to us about this.
Okay.
While Ovid Mercredi isn't saying much tonight, he was talking to reporters this morning in Ottawa as he left for BC. Here's what he had to say about the situation at Gustafson Lake and the natives who are behind the standoff.
Very misguided in their approach. It looks like there's some effort on the part of maybe a few individuals to try to relive the Oki incident in Quebec, only this time in British Columbia. The idea of putting your life on the line on behalf of our people is not acceptable because we give them no mandate, on our side to die for us.
Came. They needed our land. We wouldn't give it up. So they took us as children to brainwash us in residential school.
No support for the people in BC that's going on now. We've been receiving calls all day from various territories.
Support grows.
Twist to this story. Premier Mike Harcourt says the renegade natives are followers of a cult that believes that government, big business, and the media and the United Nations are conspiring to take control away from the people. The natives' leader admits to being a believer, but who is he?
Supporting him. Kirby Tribal Council is not supporting him. This seems to be a breakaway group of people. There may be some rental protesters out there.
No, you tell us who is breaking the law here and who is the strongest.
Ignace shares the view of many traditional native groups in Canada. They don't recognize the band councils appointed by Ottawa. Ovid Mercredi of the Assembly of First Nations is considered an enemy collaborator. But Ignace's views go beyond the other traditionalists.
No, the crop goes right to the very top. And it goes beyond that. We're right to the New World Order. To the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds.
Ignace's rhetoric is that of racist groups in the U.S. and Canada who claim the New World Order, a conspiracy of Jews and others, are plotting to take over the world. So the language hasn't prevented a growing wave of support from across the country. Quebec Mohawk Kevin Daniels.
It's a land issue. It has nothing to do with what they've been saying on TV, New World Order and all this other bullshit. It's a land issue.
30 minutes. Now, how do you explain that?
For ourselves and for future generations, a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
What is at stake?
Shots have been fired since the standoff began, but nothing like today's shooting. According to RCMP, quote, thousands of rounds were fired late this afternoon between police and natives. The natives say that's a gross exaggeration, but they do say 3 of their members have been injured. We'll get to the details in a moment, but first to the very latest developments, where we have Jazz Johouse standing by live in 100 Mile House. Jazz, what can you tell us?
Ted, really a dramatic change of events throughout the day. What started off as a day of hope led to an exchange of gunfire, but we can tell you that 2 people have surrendered.
Armored helicopters. I am assured by the RCMP that this will be a police operation, and that the military will not play a role in this operation. If anything, I would suspect they might play a minor support role. The tension and their members were involved in.
You talk to the military people. You talk to them, you want to talk to here. Yeah? And it's embargoed, okay? Yeah. So we're going to tell, Ray's going to tell the story about the shootout. And how bad it was, the rounds that went off, how they were almost killed. It was a miracle that we didn't lose 10 or 12 people.
The incident in question took place Monday the 13th, when one of the Bison's armored personnel carriers, with 10 men inside, was disabled by gunfire.
Well, it wasn't much of a problem until we got actually up to the disabled Bison, and then all hell broke loose. And it's probably similar to being in a kettle drum and somebody beating on it as fast as they could.
So they're firing all over the...
Hundreds of rounds from all 3 sides. The fear was that if we didn't get the Bison out, is that they'd come up and burn the guys inside it, either with gasoline or set fire to the field and burn them out, and once they left the vehicle, shoot them. We called the other 2 Bisons. They came in, and what we did, we went, the tailgates on these Bisons dropped down, so we went tailgate to tailgate, dropped the tailgates. One member came from the disabled, ran across, and we immediately took 5 or 6 rounds on the open door. And what it was snipers up on the hillside waiting for that. They're well trained. They appear to be quite disciplined, and the major factor is they're not afraid of us at all. Our intention that day wasn't to shoot any of them. It was to keep them at bay, because we had to get out of the Bison. And I don't know if you've ever experienced, hundreds of rounds hitting the side of the Bison. The noise. I mean, you couldn't hear guys screaming. I had a guy sitting right next to me screaming at me, and I couldn't hear him. It was just too loud. That's something you'd see in a Vietnam news clip. This is not an alert operation. I mean, that's something where, if we were military, we'd probably call in the F-18s and bomb them.
They certainly look warlike, but the Bisons are not armed. The only weaponry is carried by the troops cooped up inside. Native leaders have been telling a different story. So the gun battles will live on in history in 2 entirely different versions.
I figure you get them Bisons out there that are having 4 50 caliber machine guns on them, I could see who's the instigator on that behalf.
Why do you think they had to ambush the police with automatic rifle fire or semi-automatic rifle fire?
There was never ever any ambush on the camp's behalf. It was always in defense of hostile, I guess you want to call it fire or aggression.
Initiated all
every time, every single time.
They've always hunted us. They've always come at us. They're not afraid of us. They're not afraid of the Bisons. And it's just a gimme that their intention is to kill every policeman that goes in there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
There are heroes in a sense that they have indicated to the public that there is unextinguished embers of right to those lands. And they have taken a stand that many of our Aboriginal leaders do not have the balls to do.
Now that it looks like it's over with.
Never over until it's over, pardon.